Well, it's time for this part where we start taking this motor here apart to get parts for that one. This will be part number 5. So it looks like there'll be at least 6 parts because we'll get all this stuff off of this one. And then tomorrow, there'll be all the stuff onto that one. So it looks like it'll be at least 6 parts. We may do some extra stuff, but so yeah, today is let's get stuff off of that. So let's get into this and look at some more of the uniqueness that is the Ford FE. Okay, so we've snatched off the valve covers, and this is going to show you one of the uniquenesses of the Ford FE. Also, like point out, running Ford adjustable rockers, no aftermarket adjustable rockers. These are Ford factory adjustables. But if you look at this, the intake is actually part of the head. The push rods go through the intake. That's unique to the FE design. Love it or hate it, that's just the uniqueness of the FE design, that the intake is a chunk of the heads. Let's see, what do you say, 10%? 10% of the head is the intake, and then the push rods go through. While on the subject of the rocker assembly, look at this. You notice one bolt is different than all the rest? Just a hair different, because it corresponds with this hole, which looks different than all the rest. This is the corresponding bolt hole. Look right, let me grab a light. If you look right there, there it is. You can see a hole on the side of that. You see this embossed area right here, it's raised, it comes up to this hole. That corresponds with this oil hole on the block. Oil comes up through here, out here, and comes up the side of this differently shaped bolt. There's a shank on it, and then it comes and fills the shaft assembly, and there's holes in this shaft assembly where the rockers are, and oils the rockers. So let's take a look at our unique push rods that we've had made for this motor. It's a ball and socket design, but to compare size, let's let them next to this is an old stocker, and you can see the difference in size, both in diameter and in length. These are custom made for my application. But the big thing is the beef of them, how big around these are. These are some monster push rods compared to these little stock push rods. It's just the gift that keeps on giving. It is given so much to the new project, and it's not done yet. Distributor, rockers, push rods, these heads are going, intake. Yeah, it just keeps giving. Speaking of distributors, let's look at distributors. People seem to think you need a high-end, super expensive distributor with boxes and yeah, all that right there. That's what I use. That's what I've used since 2019. Actually, that is the distributor that's been in every motor that I've had since 2019. Here's the truth. You can go out and buy one of those nice name brand distributors with boxes and wires and chips and delays and limiters and alien landing patterns or whatever you want, but at the end of the day, that right there, when I bought it in 2019, was $119-ish. I'm sure they're more expensive now. Everything's more expensive. But you can guarantee that those other brands that were $300 or $400 in 2019 have went up just as much as those have. And that right there works perfect. It's electronic ignition, but it also has a built-in rev limiter that I can adjust and set. So I can set the rev limiter on it, put it on there, and down the track we go. And I didn't spend a fortune for it. When we start pulling the lifters out, see, some of y'all thought I was joking when I said I was going to this old wore out motor. But solid roller lifters. All cleaned up in a box, stacked up, ready to go in that motor. Now, I'm going to catch some grief probably. These are solid roller lifter. I believe they're Crane. What does that say? Yeah, Crane. Crane Cam solid roller lifters there. And I'm gonna get a lot of grief. I'm gonna get people that don't know any better. They're gonna say something they've heard.
Tell me you didn't put them in the order in which they came out of the motor, so they'll match right back up with the lobe of the cam they came off of.
Okay? Then I'm really gonna make it explode. That's not a solid roller cam. Remember, kids, when you got rust in your cylinder walls, just get it to turn over, wind it up to about it, $7 grand a few times, and they'll clean right up. Yeah, maybe a few gouges and scratches in there, but ain't a bit of rust. Clean it right up, and on stock and order, I don't worry about it. Jokes aside, you've seen, if you go back in the earlier videos, you've seen what this engine was when I found it, and you've seen how rusty and cruddy those cylinder walls were. We took a dingle ball home and just knocked the scale off of it, put it together and fired it up. Now, with joking aside, with all the joking aside, you see how clean they are now? Is that the right way to do it? Absolutely not. Would I tell anybody to do it that way? Absolutely not. My point is, even a junk FE will still run pretty good. The big point is, don't let a budget stop you from going out and having fun. I've said it before, I use my heads, I use my intake, I used a lot of stuff off my old motor. And I had this old lockdown short block sitting there. Everybody may not have stuff laying around, but I literally have about $150 in that motor going down the track. And again, the majority of that was gaskets, gaskets and fancy pre's plugs. So don't let budget stop you. You can race on a budget. This was never intended to be a race motor. This was never intended to do what I did with it. But not only did it do it, it done it pretty well. But my point is, a wore out FE is still better than no FE. So let's check it out here. I've got my dial bore set at 4050, which is a stock bore for a 390, 360, 390, both. And you can see these are low compression pistons. This ain't probably didn't make 8-1 compression, but let's pick a hole. This hole right here, it's down a little bit. We can get in there and measure it. And let's rock this around. What we're doing is looking for the point in which it flips and goes the other way. There you go. That's how far. Yep, right in there. That's where she's at. That's how wore the cylinders are. They let's check taper too. Let's see here. At the very top. Ooh, we're down to where the piston is down here now. Ooh, Look at that. That's at the bottom where the piston's sitting, and this is up at the top. Let's see, at the top of the cylinder, right under the ring ridge there. Wow, you talking about a taper, man? Liberty Bell ain't got as much curve as that cylinder wall does. Wow, she's not round, fellas. She's a little egg shaped. You can see she was she's full race car. What we were doing, we were trying a new experimental technique where we bore it out as we go down the track, and you do that by leaving sharp, jagged edges on your rings, and it'll just bore it out as you go down the track, and you're increasing your cubic inch as you make a pass. Well, this motor has sacrificed itself for the better good right now, and we've got her chopped down. There's still a couple things it has to give, but for the most part, it's ready to be pushed off to the side. Let's take a look at it. You can see we've stripped her about clean. The only other things coming out of here is the oil pan and, of course, the bell housing, the scatter shield that's on it. But the only other thing coming off the motor is the oil pan, because that nice mild down oil pan and the pickup for it. We'll go on the other one. But we have got our nice SFI approved balancer off there, or a cam, double roller timing chain, our oil filter adapter, rockers, carburetor, heads, intake, timing chain cover. Oh, and our water pump and expansion tank is all off of it and ready to go on to this beast. Ah, yes. I hope everyone's enjoying the series we're doing here. Just basically showing you how to build the closest thing to a budget race engine as you can. And we'll go over some numbers once I get it put together. But basically what we did in the first couple of parts is assembled a short block. Everything is nice and new, well, new to us, and fresh in the short block. The rest of the stuff to make it a long block and a complete engine, we had put on that engine because that engine was a short block. So we needed heads, intake, oil pan, all that stuff to put on that engine. So we used the heads, intake, and all off the engine we blew up, put on that motor. Well, I didn't want to have to deal with, well, first off, the cam that was in it, I had no idea what it was. Most likely bone stock. And the lifters were, well, as you can imagine, seeing the condition of the cylinders, they were kind of bad. So I didn't want to fool with breaking in a cam, so I done the wrong thing and stuck a big knotty cam in it and some solid roller lifters just so I wouldn't have to break in the cam. I had threw my heads on it, my intake on it, and we went to the track. And that motor did good. That motor really did good. Actually, originally, the plan was when I got a new motor built, for that motor just to go back in the pile right over there with, if you can see them, all the FE blocks and everything I've got over there. I don't think it's going to happen now. The motor's kind of earned its spot. So that one is probably going to get the piston and crank knocked out of it at some point and get the block work done by our friends at Powell Machine. And yeah, we're gonna do something special for another time, but I hope you've enjoyed the stuff. Today's video was kind of a boring video, but it shows you the lengths that you have to go through to save money and put money where it matters. I'm not saying you don't need to spend money for a race car, but you need to put it on important things. These heads, there's nothing wrong with. I've run them on 2 motors. They're unique special heads. Why not put them on a new motor? There's nothing wrong with them. They're great heads, and there's a lot of money putting those heads. So, or a lot of time and effort putting those heads. So why not run them? So don't buy new heads. That intake, sure, I could have bought another intake. What's the point? The intake has to come off anyway for the heads to come off. Remember, I showed you it's part of the head. So if you got to take it off anyway, Why spend money on another one? The cam. That's a unique situation. That cam originally was going to stay in this motor. But in the world today, most everybody's 8 to 10 weeks out on a cam grind. So I can't wait for a new cam. So we're going to put that cam and a new motor, and we may do a cam swap later down the road sometime. So yeah, there you go. We've got everything off. This was the boring video. This was the video where there wasn't a whole lot to see. This is a video where there really wasn't a whole lot of information. But this is a video that shows you the process that you have to go through. So the next video, this is part 5. Part 6 is going to be the part that most people want to see. It's the actual finished assembly of the new engine. You'll be putting all the stuff on there, how we go about it, how everything's torqued down, what we do to the parts as we put them on. All that stuff will be in the next video. That's the video everybody wants to see. And then I guess we'll save firing it up for part 7. So trying to keep these videos short, simple, so people can give them a quick watch on a lunch break or something. So hope y'all enjoy. Till next time, God bless you each one.